my doctors just kept telling me, like, this is how it's going to be. We're just going to keep putting you on more meds. It's going to be fine. And it just didn't sit well with me. And my intuition was just like, there's got to be another way. Like, they just don't.
Hello and welcome to How We Are Healing, the podcast where real people share vulnerable stories and life learned lessons. I'm Tristan, friendly yoga teacher, and your host through the darkness towards healing, one conversation at a time. And now, on to the episode. Me? Heal? Okay. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I am your host, Tristan, and we're here to talk about how we are healing. So, with me here is the fasting coach and psychedelic goddess, Heather. Heather, thank you for being on the show.
So happy to be here, Tristan. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So, tell us about your healing journey.
I was sick pretty much all my life. I had a lot of illnesses when I was a kid. And then in high school, they put me on like a handful of pills and totally normal, right? Like, okay, that's just what you do. And I totally bought into it. And then after college, I didn't know what to do with myself. So I became a nurse because I always liked working with people. I like helping people. I like gross things. Um, I knew I could handle it. So I became a nurse. And again, totally normal, totally bought into the system. But then after years of just like continuing to gain weight, feeling like crap, and just like my weight kept increasing, I really hated myself. I didn't like how I looked. And eventually, my doctors just kept telling me, like, this is how it's going to be. We're just going to keep putting you on more meds. It's going to be fine. And it just didn't sit well with me. And my intuition was just like, there's got to be another way. Like, they just don't. And so I fixed my own health problems and feeling great and healthy today. I'm off all medications and I just couldn't work in the healthcare system anymore because I don't agree with their recommendations. They were wrong for me. And I would sit there hearing my patients, the advice from the doctors and reading in the chart, to eat carbs 6 times a day. And I just knew it was wrong and I couldn't work there anymore. And so now I'm a coach helping people the way I help myself and teaching people how to find true health themselves, how to find joy in their lives, and just really how to feel good in all ways.
Right.
And my main modalities, of course, are fasting and psychedelic medicines, but there's a lot more to it than just that.
Oh my gosh, amazing. I love this because we've known each other for years now, but it's like you don't really know the full story, the full history of someone until you kind of dig deeper. So, thank you for sharing.
It's interesting because like people just know me how I look today, and then I show my before pictures, and they're like, "Holy crap! Like that's not what I look like. A completely different person, and I have the energy of a completely different person."
Yeah. Oh, I too have my fat Tristan phase. My picture. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. For me, it was working in the office and all I think they gave us like Bagel Wednesday and Pizza Friday, and it's like God, not the best.
Patients, the families would bring in donuts. The hospital only gave us junk food. The hospital cafeteria only had crappy food that was like diet food, but it's actually the worst thing for you, right? Like if you go to a hospital cafeteria, look at the food, it's all processed, it's all junk, it's not real health. And I can't be a part of it anymore. So I left 2 years ago.
You mentioned a bunch of medications. Like, do you know about how many different ones you were on at one point, at like the highest point?
Probably like seven. I don't know. And I totally bought into it, right? It was kind of like every week I'd like lay out my pill box and I liked going to the doctor. I felt like I was really taking care of my health. It kind of gave me something to do, honestly. Like looking back, it was like, and hearing people talk about their health now, it's like, oh, this is what we do. This is what the doctor says. And I think it gives you a sense of safety and control
Mhm.
because someone's telling you what to do and you do it. And so you feel like you're really doing the right thing for yourself. But the problem is medications don't make you better. Like my doctors kept saying, they'll just give you more and more. But it's like, well, what if I actually want to be off medications? What if I want to feel true health? Like, what does that look like? And again, they all told me that that's not possible. And they were all wrong.
Oh, that's amazing. And what I picked out of your story is that it wasn't necessarily that someone gave you this guidance. You had this intuition, right? So like talk to us about the role of like other people in your health journey, like mentors or gurus.
I have a lot, I kind of see like everybody in your life as a mentor or guru in some ways. Like you learn from everybody. My hero, my super guru is Dr. Jason Fung, Fung, and he is a medical doctor who treats people with fasting and found and just he wrote a couple books. actually a bunch of books, but The Obesity Code is like my Bible.
Mhm.
And it really taught me about obesity, being overweight. Symptoms are, a sign from your body that something is off. And so he really talks about the science of fasting. I love science as much as I love magic. They're the both the same. Um, and so he taught me about fasting and metabolic health, that we have a lot of control and we can reverse a lot of disease, a lot of it,
Mhm.
and prevent cancer and prevent, Alzheimer's. And there's all these things that we can do. And there's so much control we can have. And so he was the one that really shifted everything for me. Um, the other doctors I like are like Dr. Mindy Pelz, Pelz. She does fasting for women. She has a book called Fast Like a Girl. And then there's just so many people everywhere. I really believe the universe gives you the right people at the right time and the right messages at the right time and leaves you little like breadcrumbs to follow. And so if, someone name pops in my head or like I see it on Instagram, it's like I research and see who that is. So
Right.
there's always a lot of people.
When the student is ready, the teacher appears, right?
Always, always.
Always. Did you ever have a rock bottom moment or like a few of them?
So many. So many, but like I don't think we change when we're comfortable. We don't change when everything's going well, right? Like I was perfectly comfortable being a stoner and eating junk food and being overweight and just watching TV all the time. I was really comfortable doing that for a long time, and then I wasn't. And my rock bottom moment, I think one of the first ones. Well, I had a few, but one of the first ones was when I was with in my last long-term relationship, and he was not the nicest and would say, that I'm unattractive and that he didn't find me, it was like really awful. But I also really hated how I looked and how I felt too, right? I kept gaining weight and I didn't like it. I was on mushrooms at a concert at the Greek Theater in Berkeley, and I was just in this spiral about my weight, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And I just felt so ugly, and that's not a reflection of anyone else. It was how I felt about myself. It was just because of a bad psychedelic trip, which are often gifts. It's like, I just have to do something. And, I knew I had blood sugar crashes my whole life. I knew that I have polycystic ovarian syndrome, which is a hormonal issue also related to blood sugar. And so I just kept searching. Like it was this intuitive thing of like, why is this happening in the first place? What is the root cause? Because in the medical system, they're just like, oh, this is what you have. Here's your medicine. But it's like, well, why do I have it in the first place? No one else in my family has this. What is going on with me? And so I just kind of kept digging, digging, digging because of that rock bottom moment.
Wow.
Many others since, but that was like a big shifting point for me.
Yeah, that was like the big one that led to the path. Okay. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
another big one was before I moved to Mexico. And just like everything kind of around me crumbled, my relationship crumbled. I realized that while I loved my friends, they weren't the most healthy for me in that moment. And I just needed to get away from everything. I'm really grateful for COVID. I know a lot of people were hurt and died, but for me, it was a real transformative moment of I got to be alone for a while. I got to start doing the work. I started my coaching program at that time and really was coaching myself and was like, I need to go. And I picked up and moved to Mexico. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. But it was because I was at this like horrible turning point where something had to change.
Right. And I think that's something that's quite consistent in people who are healers or are in the alternative medicine space. It's that we have a rock bottom moment and it's a bad thing and we might be avoiding it for years
It's a
until
gift.
it's a gift until you realize that the gift is in that pain. It's actually going,
Yeah.
let me sit with the pain instead of trying to numb it, instead of trying to avoid it, instead of trying to hide it. It's like, let me feel all of the bad feelings and then it leads to something
Yeah.
beautiful. Okay, cool.
Like, and it's just like our body speaks through symptoms, right? Obesity is a symptom, it's not a flaw. Depression is a symptom, it's not who you are. And these rock bottom moments are a sign, that symptom, that something needs to change. And you can change it. Anybody has the ability to change it. It's not easy, it's not for the faint of heart, but it's as soon as you decide to change, again, the universe gives you all the tools that you need.
Oh yeah.
But you gotta learn to sit with a little discomfort, which is one reason I love fasting. You kind of learn to sit with a little discomfort.
Or a lot of discomfort, or a lot of discomfort. Would you not recommend fasting to someone? Is there like a type of person that you're like, this isn't for you?
Yeah, so you shouldn't fast if you are underweight because you're switching into using your body fat as an energy source. So if you don't have body fat, you shouldn't be fasting. And then pregnant women, breastfeeding women, focus on your baby. Do not focus on fasting. It's not the time. And children shouldn't fast just because there's no studies about it. I think,
Mm.
anyway, we don't have to get into my personal opinion, but children shouldn't fast. And then anyone with like really triggering eating disorders, I think it's okay if you have a history of eating disorder as long as you have support and you're really honest with yourself. For me, the symptom of is something a problem or is it healthy for you is what's the energy behind it. So if you're fasting and you have a history of eating disorder, but you feel good, you feel energetic, you feel in control, you feel happy, great. But if you're fasting and it's a negative thing and there's an addiction component and you don't feel good, you don't feel in control, then you got to be really careful.
Okay, thank you. And I do want to get into your opinion about it. So you said that you don't recommend fasting for children because there's no studies on it. What is your
Well,
opinion?
the whole community says children shouldn't. I don't know. I was in a fasting group last night that I lead, and one of the women was like, kids fast all the time. My kids will sleep for 10 hours. So that's fasting, right?
Yeah.
I think, if there's metabolic dysfunction and someone's overweight, even if it's a kid, if you're really gentle and really careful and they're still getting enough nutrients, I mean, that's for everybody. You have to get enough nutrients when you're eating. It's not about not eating, it's about eating really well when you eat, but then taking pauses from it when you're not eating. And so I think in small instances we could do that. But I think really with kids today, the problem is processed foods and sugar and all these chemicals that are in our food. So instead of worrying about fasting, just switch over to a super healthy whole food diet. And that should be everybody. We should be eating real foods that don't have nutrition labels, like a steak is a steak, an apple is an apple, etc.
One ingredient. I'm a huge fan of the one ingredient rule. If it's in a box or a bag, I only buy it if it has one ingredient. As soon as you
Yeah.
get 2, 3, 4, 10, 40, it's like, okay.
Or at least like, I mean, there's a gluten-free pasta I buy and it's got quinoa, brown rice, and something else. Three things that are real words. But as soon as you get words that aren't easy to say or that you don't know what they are, mix it.
Yeah. What does a typical day look like for you wellness wise? Like, I know maybe there's no such thing as typical, but
I'm a mess. No, I'm just super ADD, so my life is not uh, super routines, but I'm working on it because while ADHD people don't like routine, it actually is kind of the best thing for us. So just recently, in the last few weeks, I've started a new routine of Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I hike. I'm really privileged, and I live in an area with a lot of trails. So I've been meeting a girlfriend. We hike Monday, Wednesday, Friday around 8 o'clock, which is very early for me, but I'm trying to get up a little earlier, start the day with some movement. Uh, Tuesday, Thursdays, I'm working on weightlifting. We really need to lift weights and gain muscle to age well. It's all about having a long health span, not a long lifespan. So I want to just be healthy.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think just including exercise is really important. I used to not want to exercise and kind of poo-pooed people that did exercise, but I realized it's not for weight, it's for mental clarity, it's the antidepressant effect, it's getting that energy moving so we can hear the, messages from the universe, the clear channels. And yeah, I try to fast, every week. My fasting schedule is very random, but that's better to keep our bodies guessing.
Mhm.
Um, I like to work in Kundalini yoga. I, microdose and bigger with psychedelics. I work with psychedelics regularly. I like to work with a mini dose. So a microdose, you're not supposed to feel. I like a mini dose, which I call like a happy hour amount. So you do feel it a little bit. You get a little more sparkle in your day. And that just really helps me stay on top of it. And then just having community and good people around me is part of my wellness routine too.
Of course. Yeah. What does the role of community play in your healing journey?
It's everything, right?
Everything.
And I like I said, I had this beautiful group of friends that I really loved, but I realized they weren't that healthy for me. And like I stopped drinking, and one of them was like, "Oh, you'll be back to it soon," and it's like, no.
Oof.
So community is everything, but what I've really learned is it has to be the people that are supporting your growth. Um, Naturally, we get scared when someone in our life changes, so they want to pull you back. People want to keep you the same because they want you to be the same person that you are. And so I've really had to just surround myself with people that are also working on their businesses, that are also working on their health, that are, I consider myself like a hippie biohacker. I love people that are working on their health and like we're trying to figure stuff out. It's also really important to have community that, work with psychedelics or understand that personal growth and hard conversations, not sweeping stuff under the rug, like being honest when something hurts or something doesn't feel good. So I think community is really important as long as it's the right community and the ones that feel good afterwards. I don't want to be around friends that are complaining about things all the time. I want the friends that are taking action, taking control of their life. Yeah. So it's healthy community.
Okay, very cool. Are there wellness habits that you do more of like on a weekly basis or monthly or quarterly or yearly, things that you don't do every day?
Yeah, I try to do a long fast, like once a year, maybe 4 days,
Hmm.
5 days if I can. And then monthly, I like to do a 2 day fast. It's just like an antidepressant. I have struggled with mental health my whole life. So, exercise again, psychedelics are really important. And food is like everything for mental health too. So I try to do like a 2 day fast once a month. It's Dr. Mindy Pelz calls it a dopamine reset. Again, I have ADHD, so we can really reset our dopamine by doing a 2 day fast once a month. Yeah, and again, try to work with psychedelics, whether it's with my friends or alone, once a week or twice a month, kind of thing, to just really reset. I like to work around the moons, the new moon and the full moon, just to get a little woo woo G with it. I think more so just because it's like a good anchor in time, right? It's like, okay, it's the full moon. This is it like reminds you to reset with yourself.
Well, speaking of new
Yeah.
moons, we actually have a new moon in our Earth's orbit for the next 2 months. Did you hear about this?
Don't tell. Oh yeah, yeah, the
Yeah.
little one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Isn't that cool?
That's so cool.
Yeah. So the sun represents action, and the moon represents emotion, which means that the next 2 months will be a very heightened emotional time. And I'm feeling it. I'm feeling
I know.
it.
Like I love astrology because whether you believe in it or not, it just gives you a tool and like pinpoints in time to work with things. It gives you a way to kind of understand yourself. And I don't know. I just think it's really fun to work with those energies.
Totally. Yeah, to any skeptic about horoscopes and things like that, or astronomy or astrology, I always say, the moon affects the tides and we have water in our bodies. It's like, that's
Right.
it. That's it.
So why wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Like, and when my dad's a scientist too, and when I said it that way, he's like, I was like, kind of does make sense. And
Yeah.
I used to work in the ER, and I'm telling you, the full moon is legit. The crazy stuff comes around always. It's like more chaotic. People are just a little more unhinged, and it's fun. I like working with the magic, and whether it's real or not, it feels good. So work with it.
Work with it. Okay. I love
Yeah,
that.
it feels good. That's always my thing.
Do you have anything to expand on about the full moon and the hospital and that industry? Like, that's super interesting.
It's just true. I mean, ask any nurse, especially the ones or paramedic, firefighter, ask anyone that works with people. And you can't even say in the ER, you'll be like, oh, it's a full moon. It's like Voldemort. You cannot even say it's a full moon because people will like get really mad with you because you're jinxing it. And it's funny because we're all a bunch of like scientists, but there is something where we all are like, full moon. And yeah, it's just, again, it's just fun.
Right. I know for
Yeah,
me, I was definitely more on the science camp, way less woo woo, way less spiritual.
too.
Oh, like I was like, none of that made sense to me. None of the yoga world, the horoscope world, nothing like that. But I remember having a moment where I'm like, why am I always having really weird sleep at this time? And I actually started tracking it, and it took this moment of realizing, like, wait, this is actually in line with the full moon. Every time I get a full moon, I wake up at the same time. Huh, so it's like, you
Yeah.
know,
Well, there's more light, right? So our circadian rhythms, when there's more light, our body gets confused. And it's the same for animals too. Like animals act weird during the full moon. My dog barks more in the full moon in the middle of the night. It's like it's real. There's more light out. Our bodies get a little confused,
yeah,
agitated,
yeah.
a little more randy, it's just what
Is
happens.
is that a thing that's true? Huh. And I don't know
Yeah.
about men. I don't know if men can get more randy. So maybe the baseline just stays the same.
Like our female cycles are really around the moon. And so women who are not on birth control, I have a copper IUD. I wanted to get away from all medications.
Mhm.
And it's been so cool to like see how my cycle does go with the moon. And sometimes it switches. Like I used to bleed on the new moon. Now I bleed on the full moon and it does change. And it's really, ask any woman hormonal birth control what their cycle is, and it's always around the moon.
That's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
When I was a little kid, I heard someone, maybe like a teenager, and I heard a woman say like she doesn't want to be on birth control because she wants to be in connection with her body. And I just was like so grossed out by that. I'm like, ew, no. And I think like just like what you said, I was super science based. I didn't believe in any of the woo. I didn't believe
Mhm.
in any higher power. And I just was like, ew, gross. Like I want to be medically controlled. I think this is good. And it was really working with psychedelics that changed all of that for me.
Mhm.
Now I absolutely believe in higher powers, plural. I believe in the magic. Just I think our bodies are so magical, and the more we can be natural, and we're more in connection with all that weird magic. It's real.
Oh yeah. I like to
Yeah,
think of, we are the reflection of the universe. The universe in the external is really just internal. It's the same thing,
all the
right?
same.
And we're all
All
the same. Yeah, we're all connected too.
connected.
What are your thoughts on the current trends in the wellness industry?
I think there's a lot of BS out there, and especially like in the spiritual community and all of it. It's like a lot of people telling you how to be,
Mm,
and really, and we all want that, right? We all go to the shaman or to the doctor or to whatever to like tell me what to do with my body, and there's a lot of it's all about you and learning what your body needs, your intuition, trusting yourself. And so I think, at least in the wellness spiritual community, it's a lot of not listening to yourself and listening to the guru, to the shaman, to whatever. I think in the healthcare wellness industry, again, it's like we need all these things outside of us. And I think that's just from capitalism. I'm a biohacker. And so I just went to a biohacking conference called the Don't Die conference. And it's all these like tech guys in San Francisco that want to live forever. And I just think that's BS. Like we are supposed to die. But I think there's so much we can do to live, again, a health span, really healthy for as long as we live. And I believe in that. But this whole like don't die, live forever stuff is really kind of weird and creepy to me. But and again, there's like all these gadgets, all these tools, all these things you can buy. Like I'm really into having a glucose monitor right now,
ooh,
just as data to like see what my blood sugar is doing. But I think it's capitalism. It's like there's all these things we can buy that are outside of us, but really at the end of the day, you have all the tools inside of you. Always. Always.
the guru is inside.
The guru is in. You are the guru.
You are
Yeah.
the guru. Listen to yourself, the intuition.
Need is here.
Do you have any advice for people who maybe don't even know what that means? Like listen to yourself or listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. Do you have advice on how someone can do that?
Yeah, well, it's so funny. Like people tell me all the time, like, yeah, I'm really craving meat. I want to eat meat. Like I'm not supposed to eat meat. And I'm like, well, maybe your body is craving meat, and it's like I'm like, maybe if you want that, that's what your body wants. Like there's so many nutrients in meat. I really do believe in eating meat for myself. Again, to each their own. But I just think that we're so brainwashed to like not listen to ourselves. I mean, my doctors flat out said that I was wrong about myself. They told me not to fast. They told me it was dangerous. They told me all these things. I feel like I was really gaslit by the medical community
Mhm.
for years. And so again, I think we're just so used to being told what to do that we don't even know. And that's why I really love fasting, because when you can take food away for a short period of time or longer, for those who want to do longer, all this energy goes to yourself. And so you can hear the messages from your body so much easier. One of my most recent clients, because when you take a pause from food, you can get the signals about other foods so much easier. So he had a bunch of bread the other night, which is fine, totally allowed. You get to choose what you eat in fasting. But the next morning he woke up like super hungry and wanted more bread. And he could connect that to, oh, it's because I wasn't having it for a long time. Now I want it. It's like, it's not me. It's not the emotions. It's actually just my blood sugar. And so it gives you're able to listen to the signals from your body so much better.
Okay, that's cool.
This thing is like the training wheels to listening to your intuition.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah,
so
so
interesting too
much.
because it's, you talked about needing something external, right? And it's like fasting is interesting because it's literally the opposite. It's like there's nothing to sell you except the coaching. Like people need the
We
the
need
support.
community, we need guidance.
Yep.
You know, I have a text messaging group for all my clients so that they can ask questions throughout the week, because it's not a like once a week you have a question thing. This is a process. And fasting is the best thing. Like, you give yourself water and you give yourself salt. And salt is a crystal, it's a purification thing. There's so many benefits of salt. And so when you're fasting, you're taking away food, but you're not taking anything away. You're giving yourself salt, you're giving yourself water, and it's a really beautiful process.
Yeah,
Just sounds really scary for people at first, but then everyone, I have not had one person that didn't love doing it.
right. Because they saw the benefits. They saw what it did.
You feel it. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
one of my clients, his acid reflux that he's had for years went away in 3 days of fasting, of just intermittent fasting.
Oh, wow. So not even a 3-day fast.
Nope,
It was intermittent.
it's gone. He's like, I've had this my whole life. And I'm like, oh, there you go.
There you go.
My other client hasn't needed his Adderall or ADHD meds this whole time. He's taken it once or twice just for like a little boost, but like he hasn't needed it. Mental clarity, magic.
Yeah.
It's magic.
Yeah. It's almost like your body is eating up all the unnecessary junk it's accumulated, right? Like that's
Yeah.
literally what it is. Yeah.
So when everyone's like, you're not eating, you're absolutely eating. You're eating your body fat, you're eating toxins, you're eating bad bacteria, you're eating viruses. There's a study that if you're fasted in a fasted state, you can't get COVID.
Ah,
Yeah, I can send that to you. So like there's just so much that your body is doing, and you are eating. You're eating yourself. There's a process in fasting called autophagy, which
mhm.
literally means you're eating to eat yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Self-death or self-eating. Yeah.
Yeah, auto is self and phagy is to eat.
Whoa. Eat yourself.
Eat yourself. And it tastes so good.
I'm delicious.
You're getting, people are like, oh, I'm not going to have energy, but you do have energy because you're getting calories, you're getting body fat. So you are eating, you're just not eating solid food.
Is there a wellness trend that you think hasn't had its breakthrough moment yet, but it totally deserves more recognition?
Well, I think what's happening right now, and it is starting to get recognition, is eating whole foods, eating real foods, getting away from the poison that's in our food. We spray all our produce that's not organic, glyphosate, which is literally Roundup. And so it is getting to be trendy. Dr. Casey Means is a big advocate in this world. The thing that's interesting, though, and I don't want to get into politics,
Mhm.
but the only media that's covering it is Fox News, that we're poisoning our kids. We're having all these dyes in our food, red dye, whatever, that are banned in other countries, but we're allowing it here.
Right.
And so there is this movement that's coming up. It's weird that it's only on Fox News media, but if you look at biohacking, there's a ton of doctors in this world. I'm all about eating like pretty high meat and high fat, really healthy fats, and fasting. And so I think, just eating really high quality foods, eating high quality beef, grass fed, pasture raised, treat the animals well, and it's going to be healthier meat for us too. And
Oh
just
yeah.
feeds medicine in general.
Yeah, I mean that's Hippocrates, right? So that he's from the Hippocratic Oath, first do
Mhm.
no harm that all doctors need to honor. He has an entire book, his book on health and healing. It's 90% food diet.
It's faster.
And
And
he
he fasted.
okay, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
This medicine. I mean, we used fasting for everything before modern medicine came around.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's been
Animals do
around
it.
forever.
Animals do
Animals
it. Yeah.
fast. When we're sick, we don't have an appetite sometimes. And that's actually your body saying you don't need food. It wants to heal. And fasting allows the space to heal.
Yeah. Amazing. Is there a wellness trend that's going on right now that you feel is totally overrated?
I mean, there's a million, right?
Yeah.
I think, again, just like thinking you need something outside of yourself. And we don't. We don't need anything outside of ourselves. We just need, again, support, community, other people that are making that change. But if anyone ever tells you you have to have something, you don't have to have it.
Less is more.
Always.
Yeah.
There's so many doors. Like, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
it's because, in Buddhism, right? A huge tenet in Buddhism is that attachment or desire leads to suffering, right? And so what attachment and desire is attachment to external things. right? So it's all kind of related to that.
And
Okay.
all we need, again, like it's nature. We need nature. We need ourselves. We don't need the fancy car. We don't need the whatever. I used to like be such a shopper and I'd spend so much money on clothes that like were kind of like not even that interesting, you know? And now I love a thrift store. Like there's so much we can do. Simplify life.
Simplify it. So what's happening with that, with shopping, for example, it's what's called hedonistic adaptation. It's that your brain has a desire for something like shopping, right? So you go out, you seek, you find that thing on the rack, you buy it. You're happy about it for about
Dopamine.
it's dopamine. You're happy about it for like the first time you wear it. That first time is like, oh wow, look at me, I look great. You get a compliment at the coffee shop, amazing. Then what happens is you wear it again, and you don't get those compliments, right? Everyone's already seen you in it, or even yourself. You're like, okay, you look in the mirror at your outfit again, and you're like, oh,
Lost its sparkle.
it loses its sparkle. That's how the brain is designed to work.
Also, like I used to work retail. I worked at a store and every single t-shirt was in its own plastic bag. Every single thing was in its own, every single piece of underwear was its own plastic bag. And like we have to save this planet. We don't have a choice. It's good for the environment, it's good for ourselves. Fast fashion is filled with chemicals. It's like chemicals and our skin absorbs everything. You know, the lotions we wear with perfume, everything has to be processed through your liver. And so there's microplastics in our clothes, there's chemicals in our clothes. And so we just better to just simplify, go natural, and get your dopamine hits from somewhere else. It's just, you know, again, I have ADHD. I've struggled with addiction my whole life, addiction to shopping, addiction to alcohol, addiction to lots of things. It's just coming back to yourself, learning how to be calm with yourself, going out in nature, being around the right people, and getting dopamine hits from more natural sources.
Totally. Or what are the other ones like serotonin, right? Serotonin it's a similar chemical, but you get it from things like having long-term relationships with friends, family, or a partner. It's like those are the things that actually sustain us rather than the dopamine, the one night stand, the friend at the bar.
Excitement.
Yeah, the excitement, the new person. Wow, cool, new and shiny. But again, hedonistic adaptation.
Instagram, you know, like
Yeah.
scrolling through Instagram, it's dopamine. We're just seeking dopamine constantly.
Oh yeah, yeah. We want that little red notification, right? To tell us
Yeah.
someone liked or shared.
Totally. And like one cool thing just about serotonin is we evolved with magic mushrooms and they work by hitting the serotonin receptors. Guess where we have the most serotonin receptors? In our stomach,
Okay.
our gut. And so it's so important to eat healthy foods because that's going to affect how happy we are. And it's all our brain connection is real. Mushrooms and other psychedelics work with serotonin. So not all of them, but mushrooms specifically do. LSD does. And so it's really working in the more natural ways to give us the same hits.
Exactly, yeah. No, I love this idea of like more natural highs, right? Like we want the manufactured one or we want the one that's in a cigarette, right? Where it's like processed and processed and processed again and chemicals versus like you said, using nature, using what's actually provided in nature.
Yeah, or like a lot of people don't like to cook or don't know how to cook. That is a way to get dopamine. Like you cook yourself something really healthy and really delicious, like that feels amazing. So go and get your dopamine from fresh water, go into nature, take your dog out for a walk. Like all those things are going to help. There's so many ways to get that high.
Totally. And like for people who don't know how to cook, what I recommend doing is look up how to make a cooked salsa because it's super easy. It's like chili, onion, garlic, tomato. A lot of us have those things in our house already, right? Maybe not chili, but maybe some of us. And then cilantro or parsley. It's like that. It's that
Yes.
easy.
Yeah,
A little
it's just
lime.
changing the mindset, right?
Mhm.
Like instead of, oh, I have to cook, it's like for me, I'm more gluten free, more keto. And so whenever I'm craving a food, like pizza, for instance, I get to like Google what's the healthier, the keto version or the gluten free version. And you get to like create a little project for yourself. And then
Mhm.
it feels so good. It tastes better. Honestly, like restaurant food just doesn't taste as good as homemade now. I still go to restaurants. I'm not like crazy, but I'm noticing that it's actually kind of a letdown at a lot of restaurants these days. And the food I cook, which is full of butter, full of healthy fats, tastes so much better. Whole foods
Yep.
taste so much better than canola oil, which is super unhealthy and inflammatory.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And just talking about the omega-3, omega-6 balance, right? It's like we need to be prioritizing the oils. I'm surprised that isn't a thing yet, like a restaurant or even a fast food chain that prides itself on using good oils. Like I feel like that would
There
blow
are
up. Oh, okay, cool.
I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area now. I miss Mexico, but there's an app called Seed Oil Scout, and we'll find the rest and has you have to pay for it, which I haven't done yet. But you can there's app Seed Oil Scout. It'll tell you which has cooks their fries, for instance, with beef tallow. There's a lot of restaurants here, not a huge amount, but it's growing. Using beef tallow for fries, using real animal fats, which are super, super healthy for us, and just getting away from these inflammatory, the seed oils, canola oil, all of that is like, they say having French fries cooked in seed oils is worse than smoking a pack of cigarettes.
Oh wow. I mean, well,
Yeah.
it's the free radicals, right? It's like all the damage that's being done to our DNA. It's like slicing it apart in pieces.
Yeah. And they say that we hold, when we eat seed oils, it stays in our body for like 2 years.
Ugh, I
Yeah.
don't like that idea. No.
No.
No. Tell us about a time when you felt dysregulated in your nervous system and what you did to re-regulate yourself.
Well, it used to just be like smoke the joint, drink the alcohol, do this, buy the thing, stop.
But that
But
wouldn't
I
really
actually,
re-regulate. That would actually just numb
no,
and kind of
which is
prolong. Yeah.
it's still there.
Yeah.
So I got really triggered the other day.
Hmm.
I love this question because this literally just happened to me the other day, and it was so cool to see like how much I've changed, right? So I'm a part of this club called Ground Floor Club, which I really love. If you're here in the Bay Area, look it up. And we're all co-working together, and my friend Tim and this other guy were talking about their family members that are in the hospital system and like the bad care they're getting. And oh my God, I had like total PTSD reaction to it. My heart rate went up, like all of this. And I think Heather of the past would have like got involved in the conversation because we're also a little addicted to trauma, way where there's a little addiction of like, we want to gossip, we want to do all this stuff.
Rumination.
And yeah. And so instead of getting involved in the conversation, I just noticed, I think the first step is just noticing that you're dysregulated in the first place. We don't even realize it, right? So it's like, oh, wow, that's getting me. So I put my earbuds in. I put on Tracy Chapman's Tracy Chapman album because they just, I don't know, what my intuition said at the moment. And I just, in front of people in this room, started doing some Kundalini yoga stuff, like doing this, which is like heart center.
Hmm.
I have my little mala beads that are skulls. They're so cute.
Yes.
I just held them. I have this magic spray I have that like calms. And I just, in front of everybody, started deep breathing, like regulating my breathing, moving my body, doing weird stuff. Like I was doing weird stuff, but it works. Kundalini yoga is magic. And I think the thing that switched for me the most is I used to see dysregulation as a problem, something you have to run away from, right? You have to run away, you have to numb it, you have to do whatever. Now I see it as just energy that needs to move. So when we can look at it as just energy and it's simple as that, it transforms it. So feel the feeling, yep, this is happening, and then start to move your body, whether it's jumping jacks, Kundalini yoga, deep breathing. It's just a matter of moving the energy, getting it out of our bodies.
Heather, we're adults. Oh my God. We're adulting. It is.
I like I've unlocked the secret that like no one talks about. That we can regulate our emotions. We can do all this stuff. We have all the tools. I didn't need anything outside of me. And I'm grateful. I was in a safe space where I could act like a weirdo and everyone's like, okay, Heather's just being Heather. It's fine. That's beautiful. I was in a safe space where I could be weird. I let the weird out, and it is just energy. I took care of my friend's dog the other day, and the dog was really anxious at first, right? Because it was like, but I realized now the dog just has energy that needs to move. So I took my dog and his dog on a walk and like got that dog's energy out, and then she was fine the rest of the day.
That's
It's
amazing.
just whether it's children, animals, humans, if they're
Mhm.
stressed, just move the energy.
I think that's huge. And it's like my absolute number one recommendation for everybody anywhere. It's exercise. And it's not about weight, it's not about anything
No
other than mental health.
mental
Like you said, it's
and
the energy.
energetics.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I used to think chakras were like whatever, it's real. So we need to move the energy. We need to breathe the energy. We need to give it to a tree. You can hug a tree, touch a tree, and say, take my energy. And I know that's crazy and woo woo for some people, but it really works.
No, it's so amazingly coincidental that you bring it up because I was reading about it, about like connections with trees and how important it is and how it actually recharges our batteries. And I was like, huh, interesting. Then I filmed a podcast episode with Yassine, a friend of mine who lives in Egypt right now, and he was literally his recommendation for re-regulating was he goes and sits with his back against a tree and he asks for consent from the tree to have an energy exchange, and then he does an energy exchange with the tree, and he was like, nothing has ever worked better in my life. Like this is it. This is the trick. So where have you learned about this tree stuff? Like, because it's like I feel like this is gonna be the next thing.
The next thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Say hug a tree, right? I don't know. I'm just a weird hippie and I spent my whole life in nature, which I'm really grateful for. And like, it feels good. Like I have a psychedelic ceremony called Mini Dose and Manifest. It's a small amount of mushrooms so you can still it's go on a walk. So I take everyone on an adventure and I make everybody hug a tree. I also make everyone get barefoot at some point. We need to be barefoot. We need to touch the ground. We need to, whether it's in water or on grass, whatever, we have to be barefoot. I'm probably barefoot most of the time. Mexico broke me. I like can't even wear shoes anymore. So I get sandals.
Mexico fixed you.
Mexico fixed me, you're right. So it's like it's hugging the tree, it's getting our feet in the soil, it's being connected to the ground, to the earth, to nature, and it's the most healing thing.
Totally. Yeah. There's something I was reading about how modern shoes made out of rubber literally electronically separate you from the earth versus if you are barefoot or if you can wear a shoe that's of a more natural product like a leather or even a little bit of a metal connecting your foot to the earth, copper. Yeah, like these are things that actually really help ground us.
Yeah, well, think about like I always learned if you're in a car and then a power line falls down, you're not going to get electrocuted because you have that rubber. So there's not a circuit with the ground. It's when you're touching the ground and you touch electricity that you're going to get electrocuted.
Mhm.
So it's the same opposite's true. You're not going to get the electrical currents and the ions from the earth if you're wearing rubber shoes. Rubber has destroyed us.
Yep.
Had to warn my friends. I have a little confession. I just bought these really dorky socks. They haven't come in the mail yet, but they're like socks that have little toes and they're supposed to connect you to the earth. Just because I do hike a lot and like I do hike barefoot, I'm not gonna lie, but it would be nice to have a little protection. So I just bought these really dorky hiking socks and I'll report back.
These are specifically for like not wearing shoes then.
Yeah, they're specifically for people who prefer to be barefoot, which is better. Shoes constrict our feet. My mom's had to have surgery on her feet for bunions, and it's like, we're supposed to be barefoot, you guys. We evolved to be barefoot. It's natural. And so the socks just give like, there's some metal in it that still connects you to the electromagnetics of the earth. It
Mhm.
just protects you from like sharp rocks or glass or whatever.
Okay, I'm obsessed already. Like I'm already sold.
Super dorky, and I've already warned my friends like you gotta hang out with me if I'm wearing these.
What still triggers you? You already talked about kind of talking about the healthcare system. Yeah.
Healthcare, it really triggers me. Really triggers me.
Mhm.
The other thing is just people that aren't safe. And when I say people that aren't safe, I mean people that aren't honest, people that are manipulative for whatever reason, the unhealthy relationships and unhealthy. And it's because I was super unhealthy my whole life. I was toxic. I've not been the best person also. And so I think it's triggering because it brings back old feelings of how I used to be. And I don't like that anymore. I really want to be a kind, honest person. And I only have relationships now that where I can speak up, but also where people are honest with me. Like I don't know what I'm doing sometimes. Like we're just on autopilot. And so I also need people to be honest with me, like, hey, that didn't land well or sit well. Like, let's talk about it. So yeah, I think my triggers are really healthcare and just people that aren't honest. And it's because they don't know how to be honest with themselves yet. It's a bad person. It's insecurities, it's learned behaviors. I had a lot of really bad learned behaviors that I've had to unlearn, and it's part of life.
It's unresolved trauma. It's not connecting with our childhoods and understanding that we are adults now and we can actually be the adult for our younger self that didn't have that role model to teach us how to regulate or to teach us how to surpass our trauma or to teach us good habits, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
I
with you
know.
there.
Like my parents, I love them. They're wonderful, but like they learn from their parents, learn from their parents, and I learn from them, and no one's at fault. Like but we have so much we can do to shift it. There's so much we can do. And again, everything is, does this feel good or does this not feel good? And anything that doesn't feel good is a sign that it can change. You can fix it. It can be different.
Yeah. Cycle breaking. This,
Not a fan of heart again, but totally worth it.
yeah. So when you say it's not for the faint of heart, is it because it's just a lot of work or a lot of pain or like what is that? I'm with you there. I completely agree.
Honesty, right?
Mhm.
It takes admitting to yourself that you're not a great person sometimes. I think we are so afraid of, I don't know what it is, not being perfect or just being honest with ourselves. We are so scared of being honest with ourselves. And so to do that takes a lot of courage. I think it also takes being okay with being alone, like saying no to the people or things that don't feel good. And then there's this empty space when you step away that you have to be okay with being alone or figuring it out. And then all the good stuff does come. But I think, it's like we don't want to leave our friends. I didn't want to leave. I loved my ex. I loved him a lot, but it wasn't healthy for me. And it's so hard to step away from the things that we truly love, but we aren't good for us. It's so hard,
Right. I mean,
but it pays off.
it does pay off. It sounds like your ex was, he said mean things to you. Like that's emotional abuse. There's
Oh,
no,
super emotionally abusive.
yeah, there's no
And
other word for it.
wasn't a bad guy. I don't think he was sitting there thinking like, how can I like mess with Heather? That was just all he knew. That was his coping mechanisms. And it takes two to tango. I really believe that every dynamic, I was in the dynamic too. So there was something toxic about me as well that allowed it. And again, I saw it in many of my relationships that I was allowing toxic behavior because that's what I knew. And yeah, it's scary to be honest and to walk away from things you truly love that aren't good for you. It's so hard to choose yourself.
Yeah. I think I think what you said, now I'm starting to get more of why you said it's kind of scary, right? It's because you do have to be more comfortable with being alone. You have to, like, that's literally, I think, the biggest key and the biggest lesson is you have to get to a place where you're like shutting off everybody and everything you
Anything.
know, because everything and everybody you know is a reflection of your own traumas, right? And so you're like, wait a minute, I don't want this in myself, which means I can't have this in my external, which means everything I've known has to go away or has to
It has to go
change.
away. And
And
that's why, I'm grateful for COVID because I just at that moment in time, I wanted everything to just shut down and stop. And then it creepily did. And I've talked to other people who said the same thing. But then you need to be alone to hear all the messages. When you have people, like I said, saying you're going to come back to alcohol, like it's you're getting messages from everybody all the time on how to be, who to be, what to do, what to think. And so it takes being alone, being away from everybody else's messages so that you can hear your own. So you can hear the messages from the universe, from yourself, whatever. Yeah. It's and that's I'm so grateful
oh,
for Mexico because I was able to get away from everything and everyone to figure out who I was. And like my clothes have changed. I didn't used to wear big jewelry. Now it's all, like I really learned who I was.
you got your J-Lo hoops, you got your
I got my good. I had to be away from everyone's messages so I could figure out what my own messages are. And
dang.
I'm really excited. I'm going to see two of my former friends next week because I'm ready. I feel like I know who I am, and so I do love them. And we'll see if we can have a relationship or not. I don't know, but I know that I'm a different person now. I have boundaries. I know what I want. I know how to listen to myself. And that's going to maybe set me up to be able to, in a relationship with these same people, because I'm different.
Right. That's amazing. I love that you are not only reaching out to people from your past that you were like you had to separate from, but I also love that you said you know what you want because this to me is
I know what
also
I need.
yeah, there we go. Well, this to me is like a huge key that not a lot of people are understanding is the universe gives you what you ask for, but you have to ask. And that means you actually have to be honest with yourself and go, what do I want? What do I need? And without all of the filters of social media and parents and society and all the outside messages, but listening to yourself and getting that intuition of what you really actually want and need.
I'm starting to see it now is I have to do the work for the universe to get the stuff I want to manifest, right? To get my soulmate husband, to get my business super successful and, in a place where I really want it to be, I have to put in the work. So I see exercise as my contract with the universe. I see eating healthy as my contract with the universe. I'm 9 months sober from alcohol. That's my contract with the universe. I have to put in the work to get the manifestations, to get all the stuff that is coming to me. And I know it's coming, but it's like, it's honoring the divine, and you have to honor yourself and choose yourself every moment of the day as much as possible to be able to manifest, to be able to get the stuff that your heart and your soul truly desire.
I love that. What it sounds like to me too, like, I don't know, I just got this idea. It sounds to me like you are treating yourself the way you would treat your son or daughter, like you're doing for yourself all of the things that you would recommend to your best friend, to your kid, to your parent, to, someone else. But we don't always do that. We don't always listen to the advice we give others. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have all these attachments to people, to things, to stuff, and we should be attached to ourselves.
Yeah. What wellness tip or tips do you find yourself giving to other people again and again and again and again?
That you can change, that your health is possible. You can lose the weight. You can be healthy. You can feel good in your body. You can have everything you want. You can start that business. You can quit your job. You can do it. Again, not easy, but like so worth it. And you just think people are so scared to change. People are so scared to get out of the wheel, the system, you know, everything is possible. I really truly believe it. And it just takes dedication to yourself. I think, again, fasting is the perfect way to start that. I think psychedelics are a good way. They're not a cure. I think that's a problem with our wellness industry too, is all the psychedelics that are going to change everything for you and make your life perfect. And again, it takes work. It's not a magic pill. They are not a magic pill. You still have to sit with your yucky feelings. You have to process everything. Everything is possible. I really truly believe
Yeah.
it. You can have anything you want.
I love that. I think you're right about the psychedelics. I think people forget that what psychedelics opens up is the mindset and maybe a little bit of the energy, but there's the three things for manifestation. You need the mindset, you need right energy, but you also need right action. And so it's like, psychedelics can help with those first two, but action is the integration phase. It's now what you do with that
Yeah.
information. So,
Yeah. And the
yeah.
saying is the only way out is through. So you have to, I had a very unhealthy relationship with alcohol. And so, like, again, taking away the alcohol, you have to fill it with something else. And so
Mhm.
you still have to sit with those feelings of like, oh, I feel really yucky right now. I can't go to alcohol. What else are we gonna do? And so you gotta, psychedelics are not they are a solution, they are a tool, but they are not like a miracle in themselves. I mean,
Right.
well, they are a miracle, but you know what I mean? It's not gonna like fix the problem because you do mushrooms one weekend. Like you got to really do the work. It's the integration. It's all the aftercare that is really where it changes.
Right. They're not a magic pill. And thank God, because we've already been down that road of pills, and pills lead to other symptoms.
Yeah, yeah, and
Okay.
they can be really dangerous. You have to be careful with psychedelics. I know someone that, well, yeah, committed psychedelic trip. And I think that they intended to do that when they took them. You just have to, while they're really amazing and really wonderful, it's really important to have the support and to have a community around it. If you are looking into trying psychedelics, I really recommend looking up psychedelic societies in your area and finding that community. That's, what really shifted for me when I was leaving that fun group is I needed other friends. And so I really leaned on a psychedelic community to find the people that were doing the work, that wanted to shift, that wanted to be in the place that I'm at.
Okay. Amazing. What other wellness books would you recommend as required reading in schools?
Definitely the obesity code, which I mentioned. I really love that. Looking around my room, there's a great called Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind that just came out. Dr. Casey Means has a book just came out called Good Energy, which I think is very vital. Dr. Gabor Mate, really, really important. So trauma, ADHD, all of this comes from trauma. Our health is trauma. So really like, what are the root causes? There's so many books. I love books. Divergent Mind is good for us neurodivergent people. Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now.
Yep.
Yeah, there's so many great ones.
The Power of Now is single-handedly one of the most important books of my life. Like
This
such a shift happened. Yeah. Yeah.
this one is really cool. My friend got it for me. Electric Body, Electric Health. Really cool book. It's like all health, all disease is about energy. We have to move that energy.
Right. Talk to me more about Kundalini. When did you first find it and start practicing?
Like 5 or 6 years ago, a coworker here at when I worked in healthcare was going to do this online Kundalini course, and she's like, "Do you want to do it with me?" Never heard of it, didn't have any idea what it was, and I was like, "Yeah, sure." Like I'm always down to try new stuff, right? And it was supposed to be in Kundalini yoga. You're not supposed to. You can do whatever you want. It's all about you. But they often recommend doing like 40 days of the same practice. And so this one is really hard. It's called the reverse the Shakti, I think, if I can remember. And it's really hard. You sit like this for like 11 minutes.
Okay.
And then you do this without putting your arms down. And this, I can send it to you. It's amazing. Reverse Adha Shakti. And it's a heart opening one. And it's so painful. It's painful at first, but you get used to it, right? And I don't know why. Like after 3 days, my friend quit and gave up and never did it again. I did it for like 70 days straight.
Wow.
And I don't know why, but I just intuitively knew that it was something I needed to do. And so that was the only Kundalini yoga I knew was that one. When I moved to Mexico, I saw Kundalini just advertised and did a Kundalini class in Mexico, and I'm just so in love with it.
Is that
I
here in
really,
Vallarta?
yeah, I did in Vallarta. I don't know if they're still there, but now I really like. There's a couple of people online. Polly Spatin, um, North and Soul Yoga. She's amazing. She's like, I just love her. I have like such a coach crush on her. But I just love Kundalini yoga because I'm super ADHD. Yoga, fine, but it's a little boring for me sometimes.
Mhm.
And you do the same poses for 3 minutes, so it forces you to get out of your head because you have to just keep doing it. And for my ADHD brain, it works so well. And you can use it as like a little prescription. Like if you're feeling sad or depressed, Google Kundalini for sadness or for grief. If you want to manifest more, look up Kundalini for abundance. If you're having back pain, look up Kundalini. Like you can search whatever thing's going on for you, and there's a Kundalini yoga for it. I just love it. There's chanting at the beginning and end. There's something about that ritual of chanting. I really like doing Kundalini yoga with some ketamine. I call it Kundalini and ketamine. It just connects me to the divine and gets you just really out of your head. I also like it because most of the poses you keep your eyes closed for the whole practice. I just follow some people on YouTube and do it that way. I haven't found Kundalini yoga here now that I've moved back. And I really want to get yoga teacher training in Kundalini yoga. I'm obsessed with it and I recommend it to my clients. There's a really good one on YouTube. It's like a 15-minute chakra cleanse. It's awesome. So you could do 15 minutes of it. You could do 2 hours of it. You get to decide. And that's another thing I really love about it.
Oh,
So
that's
you can make it
amazing.
work for you.
Yeah. I found about 3 months ago a routine from Yogi Bhajan. He's one of the original,
Yeah.
yeah, he's one of the original gurus, I guess, of Kundalini. And it's called the Complete Spinal Series. It takes me about 30 minutes, and
Okay.
I've been practicing yoga and teaching yoga for about 10 years now, and I've been like training teachers, right? Never tried Kundalini until recently, and I'm blown away because what it does that not other yoga styles do is it combines movement with breath. Whereas other,
Chanting.
right, whereas
Yoga
like
chanting.
yeah, whereas other yoga styles like Ashtanga, right? That's a vinyasa style. So you are moving with the breath, but they're kind of really large movements and they kind of change, right? One from one pose to another to another. But with Kundalini, you're kind of doing repetitive poses with the breath. So you breathe
In,
faster, in,
in,
out,
out.
and the energy moves different. It
It's wild.
hits
Like
different. Yeah,
you get chanting, you have breath work and movement, and it's freaking amazing.
right. So what I did was I took that Yogi Bhajan's Complete Spinal Series and I actually recorded myself doing it, and that's going to be my next video that I put up onto YouTube is that class as a technique. What's different about the style that I'm doing now is I found the Complete Spinal Series on YouTube, so that's a video I've been following, but it doesn't have a 3-minute timer for each pose, and that's something that my video is going to do that's different. Is like
Cool.
actually put the right time for the poses so that it can be a little bit more, I don't want to say prescribed, but it can fit the minimum that is there in Kundalini. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
Well, I think one thing that really shifted for me is like I again was not someone who exercised. I thought people that exercise were annoying, which is really sad looking back. But like I really recommend trying everything. Once I moved back, I saw a qigong class. So I went to qigong, and like it's completely transformed my life. Like I realized, I live music is like my favorite thing, but I would always get back pain after live music. And then I was like, well, why am I looking at this like I look at everything else? That's a symptom. So why am I having the back pain? And I realized like, oh, I learned the posture for dancing now from qigong, because I'm like, oh, I need to move my hip that way. And I just took the lesson from qigong and put it there. And so when we take kundalini yoga, when we take qigong, when we take regular yogas, well, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
These things, we can put it together and do what's the best for ourselves. Again, learn all the methods so that you can find out what works for you the best.
Oh, I love that integration, right? And holistic, something, a little bit of
Because they're all
everything.
ancients, right? There's a reason for them. And so it's not about weight, because weight and exercise, it's not, you cannot exercise the weight away healthily. Like it's really more about food, but exercise is about energy, movement, and brain and clarity and peace.
Completely agree. You cannot outrun a fork. You can't. It's food. Food. If your goal is weight loss and fat loss, get your diet right and fast. And
And fast.
fast. Yeah.
And call me up, I'll help you.
Hey. I wanted to ask you, what do you think about your diet that's spot on, and what do you think about your diet that needs improvement?
um it's spot on, because I try to eat real foods, right? Real foods. I am a really basic cook. I don't think to get to cook, you don't have to do much. I focus on protein. We should be getting about a gram of protein per pound of weight that we have.
Mhm.
So really, really focusing on protein. I really focus on healthy fats. So animal fats, butter, ghee, heavy cream, avocado, coconut, olive oil. So just really focusing on healthy fats. They're going to keep you satiated, that we need them for our brains. There's so many nutrients in animals. And so I just try to eat more keto style, but when there's like so many ways to eat keto. So I do what's like healthy keto. So like a, a steak with some butter, some vegetable with some healthy fats in it, and that's keto,
Oh,
right? I don't really eat a lot of fruit. I don't, just my body doesn't crave it. It's not something I really desire. So I just really focus on veggies. I love vegetables. I love meat. I love healthy fats. And then fasting. And I really believe that, we are on this planet to live and to enjoy this planet and to enjoy everything there is. So I eat everything. I have ice cream. I eat chocolate. I eat the cake at a wedding, although I am 99.9% gluten free. Uh, I,
yeah.
so I really believe we are supposed to enjoy all the foods, noodles, like it's life. And so finding the right balance for you, and the right balance is where your body's happy. I had Vietnamese the other night for a friend's birthday, and it was so good. I ate all the noodles, and then my face
Mm,
broke out. And so my face is saying like there were seed oils in that, and I think it's the oils more than anything. And so the right diet is the one where your body feels healthy, where your brain feels clear, where your skin is clear, where your weight is normal. That's the right diet.
right.
And so I think I'm doing really well on diet because I found the right balance for myself. I still indulge. I still let myself have good things. I made hot chocolate last night at home with like heavy cream and honey. And so it was nothing like processed. And so just getting away from the processed foods has been the best.
Right. I love that too, because it's like it's honoring the fact that, hey, maybe this will cause a little bit of a glucose spike, but just like that's okay. Like every once in a
It's okay.
while, yeah, it's okay. Let yourself live.
Yeah, and in my fasting program, for instance, the first week is how to fast. The second week is how to eat to keep your insulin stable.
Hmm.
So you can still have all the things, but there's all these ways that we can still eat the foods we love, but in a way that's going to make our blood sugar happy and keep our blood sugar. We don't want these big up and downs.
Oh yeah. Have you ever heard of the glucose goddess?
Yeah, I love her. Yeah,
Oh my gosh. And her style too. She's amazing. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Like her
And so
tips, her
she has one of these, and this is what I
oh,
have, and so I can see in real time like what my glucose is doing, what my blood sugar is doing, to see like, oh wow, like the first night I had it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna eat some ice cream and see what happens. And my blood sugar was high for like a day and a half after eating ice cream. And it's okay, but just to be aware. I think the awareness gives us the ability to be honest with ourselves and then to find the right moderation because I'm never going to cut out ice cream. I love ice cream, but do I have to have it every day? No.
right. Well, it's about informed choice. It's like knowing what the decision you're making, what the impact is, and
Yeah.
knowing that we are responsible for the results of our actions. So if you go, okay, I want this ice cream and I know what it's going to do, but I'm going to be aware of that. I'm going to be aware that it'll affect me for the next day. I'm going to want ice cream again for 24 hours. I'm going to want to eat it every minute of the day, but I'm okay with that and I won't.
And there's things we can do to care for ourselves.
Yeah.
The reason why we have glucose is for energy. So after a big carb meal, use your body, go for a walk, like use the energy that you're eating because otherwise it's going to be stored as body fat.
Yeah.
So use your energy, eat it, that's fine, but then
Do something with it.
do something with it.
Love that. The next question is, what gives you hope about the future?
Oh, so much. I think that there's so many people that are shifting, that are realizing that we've been lied to. I don't want to be a big conspiracy theorist, but we have been lied to. The cigarette companies bought all the processed food companies. Like they want this food to be addictive, right? So I think I'm so hopeful that this knowledge is coming out. There's so many research studies that have been paid for by Coca-Cola, for instance, and so that truth is coming out. The truth is coming out about our foods. Uh, we've been there's more regenerative farming, which is better for the environment, better high quality foods for us. So I think there is a lot of shift happening, um, which I'm really grateful for. I think there's a lot more shift in just taking ownership of your health, taking ownership of your mental health, taking ownership of life. And it's really beautiful to see. I think more and more people are realizing that they have to do something different. Otherwise, we're going to be miserable forever.
Right.
And I just feels like honestly, I love AI. Like I've been using ChatGPT as kind of like a friend therapist, and it's been like so fun and so great. So there's all these tools that we have coming in that you can use the right way.
My friend also has been using ChatGPT as a therapist.
So
She's like, this therapist is better than other therapists I've paid, which like,
my therapist, she's amazing and incredible. But I even told her, I'm like, sorry, girl, like I got this other friend.
oh, but I think we're gonna start seeing that more and more, which is why I feel good about being in the yoga world because I don't know if AI can replace a yoga teacher. Maybe a little bit, but not 100%, right?
I think it's not to replace, but maybe as an adjunct. Like I can't talk to my therapist every single day, but I can talk to ChatGPT every single day. And when you use it the right way, it's really amazing. Like you can say what's going on in your life and they reflect back and like congratulate you on, like how you're thinking about it and can really shift your perspective. It can help you manifest. I'm like, for what's going on in my life, give me an affirmation for this. And it's like, you're doing amazing and everything is coming to you. And so using the tools in the way that feels good. Again, everything is about feeling good.
Yeah. Well, and plus it's using technology for the best way, right? Not being stuck in an endless doom scroll, but using technology to help us heal. It's perfect. I love it. What have you helped someone heal recently, friend or client?
A lot is just like, especially with fasting, the relationship with your body. And like my clients are like shifting and it's beautiful to see. It's so beautiful to see. Like people understanding, oh, wow, my body's been talking to me this whole time. And oh, wow, I have control. I can feel good. I think it's the awakening of like, I can feel good. We like sit in traffic every day. We go to the office. We don't really love our jobs. We come home, we're stressed. We get like the takeout food on the way home. We sit on the couch and watch Netflix, and like it doesn't, there's no control there. We're at the mercy of someone else. And so I think the healing is taking ownership and feeling powerful. There's this calmness to being like, I'm in control of my life. And that's the beauty of fasting and of psychedelics too. It's like I get to teach people how to own their lives, their health, to be champions for themselves. That's like the coolest thing ever.
Right. Well, to take control of what we can actually take control of, because we can't affect everything external, but we can control ourselves.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
can talk about fasting all day. No one believes me until they're doing it. And then they're like, a few days in, they're like, oh, one of my clients recently, he's like, he I knew him, so he trusted me, right?
Yeah.
And so he signed up. But then like within 3 or 4 days, he's like, I didn't know this would work. He's like, and he even asked me before he signed up, like, what happens if it doesn't work? And I was like, well, it's gonna work. So just, trust me. And so he did, because I know him. I wouldn't talk about that with like a stranger like that. But like he's like, this is real. This works. He's having the best sex he's ever had.
Yes.
He's like inspired to like create and do something new with his life. It gives you this newfound energy. And once you have a little bit of feeling good, it's so addictive. You want to do everything you can to feel good. Like I have no space to feel bad anymore. If someone feels bad in my life, I take distance from them now. Like if a food doesn't feel good, I will take distance from it. Like alcohol stopped feeling, I don't know if it ever felt good, but like I cut alcohol out, and that's the beauty of this is you get to like own your own life and control it and be the like, I don't know what the word is, but the creator of your own life, the artist of your own life.
Ooh, I love that. No, I do feel like we are made in the image of God, and God is the creator, right? That was what he did day one. Let there be light and let there
So
be
we are God.
beauty, and we are
So are
God.
you.
We
You
are.
are God. So
Yeah.
you get to be the God of your own life, or goddess, if you will.
Yeah. And create.
Shout out to the goddesses.
What have you healed?
We are to create. We're told everywhere that we aren't in control. Our doctors tell us we're not in control. Society tells us we're not in control. We have to do all these things. And no, we have all the power.
I love that. What have you healed in yourself recently?
I think, I ran away to Mexico to heal, and I did. But then it got to the point where I needed to come home to heal. And so
Ooh,
since I've been home, I've been home since middle of December, and it's been all the healing of the past relationships, of being in the places. I'm now living in my childhood home that I was as a kid, and so it's healing these parts of me that I ran away from, and I had to run away. Like I had to run away to heal, but now I'm home to kind of heal the rest. I realized while I was in Mexico, I was still very angry with people or with situations, and separated from people I really care about. So I'm healing stuff with my family. I'm healing stuff with my brother, I hope. And I'm back here doing a lot of work that I didn't really anticipate doing.
right. There's something poetic about the fact that you're returning home because what I see is that it's like you're returning back to that child version of yourself to tell your child self, "Hey, I'm here. I'm an adult. I'm here to take care of you. What do you need? How are
You're
you
safe in
feeling?
this
You're
place.
safe
And I
now."
never felt safe. I didn't realize
Mhm.
until I was in Mexico that I never felt safe my whole life.
Wow.
And it took Mexico for me to learn how to feel safe. It took Mexico for me to learn about energy and how to work with my own energy. It took Mexico for me to really know who I am. And now I get to come home as this whole person to fix everything that was broken. And there was a lot that was broken.
Yeah. It's interesting too that we both chose Puerto Vallarta because it is this portal, and I don't know what brought me there specifically. People ask me, "Oh, why did you move to Vallarta?" And it's like, I don't know. But that was my answer before, and now I feel like I do have the answer, and it's exactly the same as yours. It was I needed Vallarta to understand myself, to understand my own addictions, and to understand the patterns that I still had that I thought I had overcome, that I thought I had a handle over, that actually I wasn't even aware of at all.
Yeah. And
So,
it's so much, right? It's like, wow. I'm so grateful. And I said that the other day, how grateful I am to Mexico, and I cannot wait to be back. I love Vallarta so much. I cannot wait to be back. And my mom looked at me surprised. She's like, she thought it was like a mistake because I went there and then I came back. And I'm like, no, there was no mistake. Like, big picture, Vallarta saved my life. I love Vallarta. I cannot wait to come back. But I also need to be here now. There's a lot I need to do here.
People do come here to heal, whether they know it or not. That's what the portal is for Vallarta, at least from what I've seen and from the people I've spoken to. So,
Yeah,
what
it's
does
such a
the
beautiful place.
it really is. It's beautiful.
The
Ah,
people, the food, the nature, the art, the
the beach.
colors. Like, I came home and painted my house bright orange and turquoise, and my bathroom's neon pink. Like, I just have to be around the color. Thank you, Mexico.
People are going to be very confused when they see you're the owner. They're like, wait, you're the owner of this Mexican style hacienda in San Francisco? Um, what does the next year look like for you in terms of personal wellness goals?
Oh, it's so great. I'm just so excited. I don't know. I think like I am very intuitive now that we speak. And I just kind of go where the excitement goes, right? I think for me, part of my healing is just growing this business. And I could only grow so far in Mexico, to be honest. I had to come home to really grow my business. And I think that's just my main priority right now. My business is me. I get to help people. It's so great. I get to be who my most authentic self. I think that's another thing Mexico taught me is I was always told by other people who to be, and Mexico allowed me to find out who I am. And so now the healing journey is just really stepping into my power in my business. It's my soulmate husband is so close I could feel him, and like
Oof.
I think that's my healing is finding the partner, but that's like not the end of the story, right? Then now it's going to be all that healing of relationship traumas that we have and like being with the safe partner to be able to look at those things and the old patterns and to shift them. And so I really believe my healing journey right now is just stepping into my power, which is always so scary. Like, I'm on social media. I always said I would never be on social media, and like now I'm doing videos and I'm doing all these things I didn't want to do, and it's so empowering. And that's really what this is about, is just being my most authentic self. And the more I'm myself, the more everything works out really well, the more clients want to work with me. I went to this event, a networking event the other day, and I was super scared. It was like on a boat in the Bay Area with these like rich people, and I was super scared. And so what did I do? I just was like, I'm gonna just be me. And I put on like, I have these glitter sparkle freckle tattoos. I just put on my glitter sparkles. I wore like ridiculous like hot pink outfit. I just was like extra me. Like, it worked. Everyone came to me. I didn't have to talk to anyone. They were like, who are you? What is going on? I've seen like this creature that I am. And I am different. I don't fit in here. I am definitely the weirdo. I walk around barefoot. I wear weird clothes. And like, that feels so good. I'm me. I like me.
Yeah,
Finally, I spent so much of my life hating myself and like being insecure and being awkward and like, no more. We have no more time for that. And so
right.
that's the healing, is like being the most me every day.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
Love you.
love you.
Love you.
Heather, how do you want people to engage with you, connect with you?
You can find my websites. I have two, but they're connected. My business is called the Psycho Spiritual Nurse, which is, again, magic and science. That's what I'm all about. My fasting program is Fasting to Feel Good, fastingtofeelgood.com. It's awesome. It's so much fun. It's empowering. It's the best. And it's so much more than fasting. Health is about everything. It's about feeling good. I'm on Instagram, heather.gosliner.nursecoach on Instagram. I also do psychedelic ceremonies, but I'm not a shaman. Like, that's not, I know me, right? I'm more about play and fun. And so I'm like the training wheels for psychedelics. So if you haven't done psychedelics in like 20 or 30 years, or you've never done them and you're nervous, call me up. This is what we do. We just dip our toes into the water, put the training wheels on, and I teach a little bit of ritual, a little bit of play, a little bit of adventure, a little bit of inner work. And it's just really fun. So that's what I do.
And what is the last message you want to leave with our listeners, our OMIs?
The final message is, you can have whatever you want. You can have the health. You are worthy of it. I think people are so scared that they're not worthy of health and about feeling good, and it is there for you. It is absolutely there for you. You just got to do it, one foot in front of the other, and get the help and support you need, because there are so many people out there willing to help you. Just be careful of the ones that are telling you how to be. You want to find the people that are encouraging you to be the most authentic you and not a copy of them.
Oof, I do love that. Heather, thank you so much.
I love you. Thank
I
you.
love you. Well, you heard it here, folks. Until next time, this has been the How We Are Healing podcast. Remember to keep healing yourself so we can heal others. That's why we're here. Adios. Ah,
Adios.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Tristan. I was just like you. I wanted to become a yoga teacher. I noticed all the positive changes it brought to my life. I didn't want to have to travel, though, to do a yoga teacher training and all that goes along with that, right? Being put in a room with a bunch of strangers. What if I had to use the bathroom and I have to miss a part of the lecture and dealing with that awkwardness? I also didn't want to have to spend a fortune. And let's be real, yoga teacher trainings can be very expensive. Lastly, I wanted to be able to start teaching yoga right away because if I'm honest, I felt ready before I was even certified. It's just what happens when you find something that really speaks to your soul and when you have that focus and when you have that discipline. For me, the program I wanted didn't exist, but now it does. I created it. I created the yoga teacher training that I dreamed of. It's a course that's affordable at just $99 a month. You can even finish everything within the first 30 days if you're super dedicated. But there's no pressure. Go at your own pace, it's there. Because of this also, you can start earning money right away. I give you the tools you need so that you can start earning. That means the course immediately starts paying for itself. Just in case that's not enough, there is also a 30-day money-back guarantee. I wanted to make it so that you have nothing to lose, an entire lifetime of yoga knowledge to gain. So what are you waiting for? Get started today. Go to shantiyogaschool.com to access the course now. That's SHANTI yogaschool.com. Hey, it's Tristan again. Thanks for tuning in to How We Are Healing. I hope you found it meaningful. If you'd like to support the podcast, consider leaving a review or sending this episode to friends and family. Until next time, Omis, keep shining.